Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Surge to Crit. On today's episode of Army Building, we are going to be going over the Wizard-Lizard list combination. So, before we get into that list, if you like the video, drop a like, and if you do enjoy our content, make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date on all of our latest videos. And while you're doing that, throw a comment in down below on your opinions on the list. What do you think of this list? Is it good? Is it niche? Is it anything that you think this list, the Wizard-Lizard, is? So, getting into the list, the wizard part of the Wizard-Lizard or the Lizard-Wizard, however order you say it, but the wizard part is filled by the Emperor himself, Emperor Palpatine. Now, he is coming equipped with all of his force slots taken up. He has Force Barrier, he has Anger, and he has Burst of Speed. All of this, the Force Barrier to kind of protect the Lizard, the Anger and Burst of Speed working really well on Palpatine's 1-pip, where he can just dive bomb the enemy army and potentially take out a boatload of units or even just a boatload of models. Next up is the Imperial Officer. Now, the Imperial Officer, or as I like to call her, Becky, she comes equipped with just improvised orders. Because honestly, for that, improvised orders is like really nice to have on this list in case you get an order early that you really don't want to pull. That's just the main effect of her. Next, filling out the lizard part of the Wizard-Lizard or the Lizard-Wizard, the Lizard is the Trandoshan Terror himself, Bosk. And if you want to learn more about the new Bosk, make sure you check out our unit breakdown link in the description for that. But Bosk comes equipped with Hunter and with targeting scopes. So Hunter, gives you a free aim if you're attacking a wounded unit, especially good on things like dewbacks or tauntauns or even Wookiees or hero units that you might set your bounty on. This is all really good targets for that you can potentially use to get aims from Hunter. And then targeting scopes lets Bosk really get a bang for his buck. So every time he rolls dice with an aim token, he can reroll up to 3 dice. Next, getting into the core of this list. So the core comes with 3 Stormtrooper units, one a little bit different from the rest. So one unit is going to have just a medical droid. That's it. And the medical droid's main job is to take wounds off of Palpatine, or in rare case scenarios, potentially revive the Electrostaff Royal Guard that I'll be talking about later in his one kind of weakness against like lightsaber users. But this Stormtrooper unit is mainly meant to take wounds off of Palpatine before his dive bomb, or even after his dive bomb, to potentially secure his life for a little bit longer. But either or, in that scenario, is their main purpose, on the rare occasion sometimes bringing back a Royal Guard. The next 2 units of Stormtroopers are both identically, if I can speak English, they're identical to each other. They both have the Electro Binoculars upgrade, and what this does is gives the unit Spotter 1, which then lets them give out an aim token to a friendly unit at range 1. And as I get through this list, you'll start to see why Electro Binoculars and the Spotter keyword are really important. But moving on to the Special Forces. So for the Special Forces, we fill out all of the slots. We could get a 4th Special Forces because of Palpatine's entourage with the Imperial Royal Guard, but for this purpose, we only have 3 Special Forces, and they are Royal Guards, Royal Guards. All 3 of them are the Imperial Royal Guards. A very, very good unit for the melee-focused units and armies. I think they're probably like one of the better ones, just because they're cheap. Their melee is really good with a red die thrown into the bunch, and they're just overall, they're pretty tanky units at 2 health each and 2 courage. And they have red defense dice, which is really nice. Unless, of course, they're going against like something like Han, where Han can just go boom, 1 Royal Guard, and then boom, another Royal Guard. But if in that case, hopefully you can kill Han before he gets there from your Lizard. part of the Wizard Lizard. But going into the first set of Royal Guards, the first set of Royal Guards has the Electro Staff Imperial Royal Guard. And what this does is it gives you adds a model with the Electro Staff weapon that is only 2 black dice, so it's worse than the normal attack, but it gives you immune melee pierce, which is really good going against Force users like Darth Vader or Anakin who have Pierce 3. Normally that'd be enough to take out a unit. So, or anyone that has melee and Pierce at all. I mean, that's really nice to be immune to it. But to keep going on with that unit, they also come equipped with a tenacity. So if they take 1 wound, not the end of the world, they get a nice little red dice to throw into the bunch. The next 2 and final units of Royal Guards are once again identical to each other. They come equipped the same way. So they both have the Protector training slot, which that helps you to cancel crits as if they were hits with the Guardian keyword, but then Royal Guards can take that damage on themselves instead. And then they both each come with the Electro Binoculars upgrade. So at this point, you're probably wondering, what gives? Why are there 4 copies of Electro Binoculars in this army? And if you think about it, Electro Binoculars gives you Spotter 1, so if the Imperial Officer, you have Spotter 5 really kind of spread throughout the list. And the reason is that this list heavily relies on Bossk's Ripley, is it the Ripley mortar launcher, I believe it is? You'll see it on screen in the little corner. But his mortar launcher is like the main weapon of this army. It's the only gun that shoots at range, like beyond range 3. So that's huge. But also, everything in this list revolves around Bossk. He is the centerpiece of this list. Now, while Palpatine may be really good, and he might even come clutch in some games, as he has in some of my own, Bossk is really the linchpin of this list. If he goes down, there's a fairly good chance he might not win, just due to the fact that Bossk is just oppressive in nature, going after a lot of people. But to continue, this list revolves around Bossk. Everyone around it is going to be within very close proximity. Anyone with the Spotter 1 keyword is going to be near Bossk, just so they can feed him aim tokens. He can potentially, assuming he does not take the aim action, just from other people feeding their actions in the Bossk, he can gain up to 5 aim tokens in a round. And then, if you want to go even further, he can, and that's not even his lying in wait round, first of all, but it's 5 aims before Hunter kicks in, or before your turn even activates. So you could potentially, on Bossk, from aim action, which gives you 6 aims, and then Hunter, you could have 7 aims on your non-lying in wait turn. That's a lot of aims. That's really insane. But to go even further, if the average list has around 9 activations, and you do everything like I just said on Bossk on his lying in wait turn, which gives you an aim after every one of your opponent's units activates, you could easily end up with 16 aim tokens, which on this list, Bossk really doesn't care about cover, because you're rerolling those dice in order to get crits. On white die, you have a higher chance of getting a crit with Bossk, because he surges to crit, than you are hit. So the aim of the game is to reroll those dice, get as many crits as you can, to pierce through any armor, to pierce through cover, or anything that just blocks normal generic hits. And even further on, the Imperial Royal Guards, while yes, they should be body blocking for Emperor Palpatine when they can, their main protection is Bossk. Your protector units should stay near Bossk to make sure crits don't get through to him, and that they're going to be able to feed him aims, while the other unit can maybe act a little bit more semi-independently, but they should initially start near Bossk to hopefully, at least have them guardian one of the damage that gets through on them, just to, see if they can take the head off and just, get an early wound on them, which might be bad normally, but with tenacity, it gives you a nice little red die. To go further down the list, Palpatine, you might be wondering, how does he fit into this equation, and how is Bossk more important than Palpatine, who can run in there and just dish out up to 4 to 5 bolts of electric, of his lightning at enemies, and then immobilize them if they don't die. How is Bosk more important? And the reason is the action economy. Because there is a keyword on Palpatine called pulling the strings. And what that does is it allows Palpatine to choose another friendly unit at range 1 to, or friendly trooper unit, I believe, at range 1 to 2, and they may perform a free attack or move action. And with Bosk, you're going to want to usually perform an attack action. What this does is it lets Bosk attack out of his turn, but it also lets Bosk attack twice every turn, except for potentially one turn on his Reptilian Rampage turn, and on that turn, he could attack up to 3 times. And with his mortar rifle in play, that can be up to 6 suppression in a turn. If you're able to just launch all that onto a unit, even if you don't kill it, even though between the 3 attacks you'd have Pierce 3 between Pierce 1 on each of them. If you don't kill the unit, even after that, they have 6 suppression on them. They are either A, most definitely suppressed, or B, they're getting ready to panic. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, Jedi Anakin, Operative Vader, both of those guys will panic at 6 suppression. Or they could panic at least. So, a lot of suppression's really good. And that's another thing to remember with this list, is that you don't always have to go for damage necessarily, because Bosk can just dish out so much suppression so quick. He can attack twice a turn, that's up to 4 suppression. And if it's something like hostile environment or war weary, that can really be a detriment to your enemy, while it's more of a positive for you, because your Imperial officer will just have to stay near the troops she's already going to stay near anyways, because she's feeding aims to Bosk, along with the other troops that are feeding aims to Bosk. So this list revolves around Bosk. He is the center point. He's the glue that keeps this list together. And it is a type of list that you really just sit back and you let Bosk do his thing. You feed him his aims, you protect him when you can, and then Palpatine will make sure that Bosk can attack multiple times a turn to really get your bang for your buck. It's it's a 796 point list that is built around Bosk. There is only, I'd say, one unit in this list that is not specifically built around Bosk, and that is the Stormtrooper Medical Unit, because they can't Guardian for him. They don't give him aims. All they do is sit there and heal Palpatine first as a priority, or Royal Guards if necessary for that scenario. So overall, my thoughts on this list. This is probably one of my favorite lists that I've seen in a really, really long time. I've played a few games of it, and I'm preparing to go to a tournament soon to play this list. So, wish me luck in the comments if you choose. But this list is fun. And for me, at least, it really, even though sitting back and shooting sometimes feels a little bit gimmicky at times, when you say, okay, I spend my first aim, my second aim, my third aim, all the way potentially up until you get those 5 crits. There was one time I rolled, I did 12 aims on this lying in wait just to try to get crits out. Which I just wasn't coming up crits. And my opponent was just kind of like, okay, man, I get it. You have 17 aims. You can stop rerolling at any point, but rerolling your dice a lot of times can get, seem a little bit tedious at times, because you're just sitting there saying, I spend 1 aim, I spend 2 aims, I spend 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, however many you have. But it is very fun when it works, because there are some times where Bosk, he can do a good amount of damage, usually, sometimes. And there's this one game that I played. It was a skirmish game, however, and it was kind of using the same principle as this list, with Palpatine and Bosk working together. And my opponent had 2 dewbacks, and what Bosk did on his turn, as lying in wait turn, he was able to, because he had a high activation list, he was able to generate, I think by the end of it, I think he had around 9 aims, because my Stormtrooper unit was able to plink off 1 damage early on in the engagement, so it was wounded, and that was passing aims to Bosk, and Bosk ended up shooting a mortar rifle into 1 dewback, and it had 5 health, and My opponent rolled his dice. He only got one save. So he just straight up killed the dewback right there. And then Palpatine was like, hey, do that to the other dewback. So with a boatload of aims again, I rolled. I ended up bringing the dewback down to like half health. So it's a very oppressive. His weapon is very oppressive, that's for sure. And I really can't wait because this is going to be one of the first times I've played. It's actually the first time I've played Empire at a tournament. So we will see how that goes. But without further ado, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or any general tips about how to use the Wizard Lizard list archetype, or the Wizard Lizard, or the Lizard Wizard, I'm not sure which one it is, but it is a very good archetype, and it is worth noting that this was... I originally saw this at the Adepticon, at the stream that the 5th Trooper did, and this was from Imperial Sympathizer, I do believe. And if you're listening to this Imperial Sympathizer, what a fantastic list. I love this idea. You are like a genius. And hopefully you like this slightly changed around version of the list that I have made. But you can see the full list on your screen, as you've been able to for a while now. It is a very, very unique list. The command cards are mostly what you'd expect. Bosks, Palpatines, and standing orders. And then objectives, conditions, and deployments are all built around having Bosk out there, but not really out there, and being able to launch his mortar rifle consecutively in order to whittle down your opponents before they can even get to the center objective. So, without further ado, thank you all for watching. I hope you did enjoy this video about the Lizard Wizard or Wizard Lizard list. And if you liked the video, leave a like, subscribe if you so choose, and drop a comment, as I said earlier, with any questions, comments, or concerns, or general tips on how to run this list, so others may see those tips. So, I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day, and peace.